Good morning, YouTube. A little bit later start than anticipated. Garage door wasn't working, so had to do it the old-fashioned way, and then move the girlfriend's car out too so she wouldn't get stuck inside until I can get it fixed later today. So fun stuff. Home ownership. Leg day today. We're gonna see how squats feel today. So we're gonna start off adductors, get the hamstrings warmed up, get the glutes warmed up, bit lightly, kind of just wake up the quads into deeper ranges of motion, deeper levels of quad flexion. Before we get into back squats as kind of the primary movement today, gonna try and push the weight up a little bit more than I did last time. Safety squat bar split squats. If you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, ask questions, do the whole kind of YouTube thing. Helps me. One, helps me reach more people. Helps me in a lot of ways. So help me help you in a way. But there's a button somewhere. So press it. Like, comment, subscribe. Please. I talk about this a lot, but honestly, I used to hate this machine because it felt like I was just getting a lot of like lower hamstring insertion and nothing else. Adding the gait belt, which again I'll link in the description, but preventing yourself from shifting forward on a leg curl makes the entire difference in terms of activation. Putting it behind the seat and then just buckling in. So naturally, as I pull through the movement arm on the machine, that's going to try and shift my body forward, right? So I'm trying to pull, part of my body is trying to pull weight back towards me, which means naturally my body is going to want to shift forward to make the movement easier, but that any movement in your body decreases activation of the loaded muscle. Just like I would talk about pull downs. Using the pendulum squat in the beginning, it's more so just about getting the knees acclimated to deep levels of flexion, making sure the knees are warmed up, quads are active, getting blood flow to the area, and preparing for whatever your squat pattern is or whatever knee dominant exercises that you're doing. So sometimes you'll see me use it in the beginning as a warm-up. Sometimes you'll see me superset it as a finisher. It's way harder than it looks. It's really all about just controlling tempo and keeping tension in the quads the whole time. If you're not using it as a warm-up exercise. As a warm-up, I'm really just focused on, do my knees feel ready to go? Do my knees feel lubricated and ready for the activity that I'm asking them to do? I think one of the biggest misconceptions in the fitness industry is that warm-ups should be easy.
I miss you. Can I see you, babe? Every time I see you on your picture, that shit drive me crazy. Girl, I'm gonna miss you. The whole time I'm through, I'm one stop, one stop. I ain't even drink no stuff. I stay with a whole lot of people. Rocking the box, this these days, bro. Put that bitch on.
Ain't no that's me. When they ask you, when I'm quiet, let me think about killing a lot of times.
The key emphasis I'm trying to focus on with back squats, or just squatting in general, is similar to what I focus on with machines, because the cables and machines, the weights are more consistent, feeling it more throughout. I'm trying to replicate that with squats and some other movements, just to try and focus on the tension staying consistent throughout. So my powerlifting days have me trained to quote unquote dive bomb. And so I'd start off with a weight, rapidly go through the eccentric and pop back up really aggressively. Just thought process of being explosive, being strong, being powerful. But when I'm focused on trying to grow muscle, I'm going to use a lot lighter weight and just focus on keeping tension in the quads the whole time. So
I'm really the one.
Boy, drive out my car like boy, I'm the two. Boy, but I'm so not boy, I brain.
waiting on my new shipment of CBUM energy to come. Everyone keeps drinking on mine.
You were so bad. It's all over. I did my hello. From out of this world, I know you've been. I'm talking to
Fuck.
They don't love it. 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 I've been laid back so long. I get turned. Fuck searching my name, dog. That's fuck me. I like it. Well, I'm trying to be. This whole game is taking place. And I do, yes, I want it. I don't care how you feel. I want it. I'm sitting people that I'm in front of. It's not that crazy. I'm sitting.
Don't get obsessed with the weight if you're not feeling the exercise in the right place. If you're doing squats at 225, at 135 at the bar, and you feel it in your quads, that's better than doing 405, 495, etc. Not feeling it in the right place. One of the best movements for overall leg growth that nobody will do.
Every breath I feel, instead of living better than my yes. I'm busy jumping in. Oh, remember that so I feel it.
After the safety squat, bar split squats, we're just going to go body weight to near failure.
This person I clearly need, so I don't look for what I lack in someone else. I see that I'm still in between the fight and live and tear me and taking care of me was really there for me. My me, I fought it unfairly. Need more solidarity. I talk to people who make skills on popularity when I can do my clarity. My numbers, my pleasure. Now, to me and talking about my foods and told a story. So the only language people speak.
The idea with the Bulgarian split squat, whether we're assisting from the front with a bar or elevating on the back with a pad, is to minimize the level of assistance and try to load that front leg as much as possible. So I'm actually using this to kind of counterbalance and not use that as much. So all the tension can stay in that quad the whole time. Gonna hit some leg presses, leg extensions, some calves, and then a little bit of abs. So we're over the hump now. We're gonna hit some calf raises here first, then go to leg extensions, and then get some abs. If you do not have a calf specific machine in your gym, just use a leg press. And also the idea that you're needing to do bent knee calf extensions versus straight leg calf extensions is kind of true and false to a certain extent. So when you're doing a bent knee position, your gastroc can't fire as hard. It doesn't mean that your soleus is going to take over. It might have to do a little bit more work, but your gastroc is still firing, your soleus is still firing. So you can still benefit from using straight leg calf raises. It's more important what your ankle is doing, what your foot is doing in that position, which is why we wedge the outside of the feet to make sure that we're not rolling, kind of rolling to the outside of the foot and relieving that medial inside line of your foot where the big toe is. A mermaid pose while I explain what exercise I'm doing. Most of the issues people have with crunches, abs, things like that is the floor. One, the floor is going to limit you in terms of how much extension you can get the transverse abdominis into. On top of that, really, people tend to use their hip flexors so much and recruit a lot of neck extensors and lower back as well. So the way we want to incorporate the exercise is using a pretty rigid mat or something to keep you accountable. Push it right up against your butt. And then all we want to think about is kind of our lower rib cage and belly button, trying to extend those as far apart as we can, and then bring them together as much as we can without moving the pelvis. So if we start moving the pelvis going up too high, then we're going to start using a lot of hip flexors, a lot of lower back to isolate the abdominals. We're going to focus on getting to extension of the rib cage, creating more distance from the belly button to the rib cage, and then pulling all that together without using the hip flexors and going slow. Typically, you'll know if you have to throw your weight forward or if you're having to anchor your feet under something, you're probably not strong enough in the abdominals to do this movement. You might need to progress slower into this movement, maybe, do a couple of reps. I wouldn't expect to be doing more than 10, 15 repetitions if you're doing it correctly, especially under controlled tempo to isolate the abdominals. They'll start like this, and then they'll throw their arms forward, and really they're just using so much counterbalance because the more weight you have forward, the less your abdominals are actually working. So if you want to apply some load or anything like that, kind of a weight high up on the chest, a dumbbell, a plate, something like that, but really just focus on getting 10, 15 repetitions with controlled tempos before you start progressing into load. working on reintroducing stomach vacuums, something I used to practice a little bit, but kind of reintroducing now to have better overall transverse abdominal control. My thought process is expelling as much air as I can, kind of sucking in the abdominals, and then thinking about obliques, kind of pinching and kind of compressing, the idea of creating kind of a really narrow rib cage, narrow waist. Not that it's going to necessarily create that for me. Still, a lot of that's going to come from diet and just getting really lean. But the thought process is still pretty helpful. So. Still very weak, but progress is progress. You'll be able to see kind of as I progress through this journey, hopefully those stomach vacuums get better and better. But right now, 5-10 seconds of a mediocre stomach vacuum, but hopefully we'll start getting a second or two of a really good one and then progress towards, up to a minute of a really good one. So I'm gonna keep working on it, work on it throughout the day, just whenever I think about it, but also work it into a lot of my workout programs. That is a wrap for today, leg day. A lot of quads, hamstrings, calves, mostly quads, a little bit of abs towards the end, with a lot of tips, tricks, little things, just kind of highlight my thought process through a lot of different exercises that I'm doing. So hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully there's some nuggets of information in there for you. Otherwise, do the whole YouTube thing, share with friends, etc., and see if this can be helpful for you or someone you know. And like always, call someone, tell them you love them. Not enough love in this world. Call your mom, tell them you said hi. Tell her I said hi. Do your thing. Bo Alexander, Adapt Fitness, Dallas, Texas. Bye.